Once they've completed their dive, they have to move quickly. These poachers don't want to get caught, and the Coast Guard could turn up at any time. An abalone can fetch up to €100. Their market value means they're fast disappearing from South Africa's coastal waters. It's a fate they share with many other species. Approximately 17,000 species worldwide face the threat of extinction. That corresponds to 1% of all known plants and animals. This catch will net the divers about €150, more than many South Africans earn in a month. They rev up the engine and head for land. The buyers are waiting in a secret place. Most of the shellfish ends up on plates somewhere in Asia. We're not allowed to film the handover. We meet Japie. His job is to keep watch for the Coast Guard. The divers only return to land with their catch when they get the go-ahead from Japie by mobile phone. Japie and his family of 9 live in a small fishing village near Cape Town. He used to fish for abalone himself, but at 54, he says he's too old now. Like many fishermen on the Cape, Japie can't accept that catching abalone should suddenly be banned.
We must keep on living, and we've got some kids and in a house to look on, and a family. So they can tell us we are criminals, you understand? Because it's our work.
But the Coast Guard says that the abalone fishermen are criminals who have to be caught. With almost 2,000 kilometers of coastline to patrol, it's no easy task for the inspectors. Anyone they do catch faces several months in jail. Maria Hauck agrees that species conservation is important, but she thinks an outright ban is wrong. Hauck is an expert in fisheries law and has been familiar with the local fishing industry for years.
If you have coastal communities in South Africa who have traditionally harvested resources, who are in a highly poverty-stricken environment, then surely we need to question why these people are not allowed to harvest a resource as a means to secure a living.
There are few alternatives for the abalone fishermen. The catching of other species is strictly regulated, and jobs outside the fishing industry are rare. Most people lack the necessary qualifications. Those who obey the law are likely to face financial ruin. And for some time, there have been international fishing groups trawling these waters alongside the local fishermen. Profit margins are enormous, and the risk of being caught very slight.
This has become a fishery that has an international trade and very organized trade, where it's being smuggled into neighboring countries using private aircraft. It's highly organized, so there's no question that there are organized elements involved.
4 Coast Guard ships regularly patrol the South African coast, but actual arrests are few. According to the commanding officer, the poachers throw their catch overboard as soon as a patrol boat approaches their vessel.
We focus more on a visible policing strategy, so that when these vessels are in the area, it creates a huge deterrent has a huge deterrent effect on the poaching activities.
But Maria Hauck says that deterrence and prosecution are not enough to save endangered species.
I'm not denying that it's absolutely important, but what I'm arguing is that is not the solution. If we want to solve this issue of the illegal abalone fishery, we need to understand what's driving it. And we need to bring the role players together to start understanding how to develop a strategy that not only looks at law enforcement and organized crime, but also looks at sustaining the livelihoods of the fishers in those communities.
But so far, there is no such strategy. And Japie tells us he couldn't feed his family on the proceeds of lobster fishing alone. So he has no other choice than to break the law. And besides, the sea, he says, is still full of abalone.
They are over enough. Over enough.
What we need to understand is that we need to preserve the resource not only for now, but for future as well. I mean, we would want our grandchildren one day to also, you know, have a look at the resource, and their grandchildren.
Japie says he's got a clear conscience about fishing for abalone, but he is worried.
What I'm scared of, if they're going to catch me, who's going to look after my children and my wife?
Japie says that one day his grandson will be a fisherman, just like all the men in his family. But he's not quite so sure that his grandson will be fishing for abalone.